So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminsky Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Jersey's here, Jersey's here.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode. Today, we're going to be talking about cutting through all the damn noise on social media. And I have a phenomenal guest with us. I've been dialed into his YouTube channel now for months. I love what he brings to the industry. I love how he brings it to the industry. So without further ado, I want to introduce my man, Ben Leavitt, to the show. What is going on, my dude?
Hey, man, how's it going? That intro was awesome, and I'm equally excited to be here. I'm excited to chop it up.
Dude, your last YouTube video about Clubhouse had me hysterical. My wife was laying in the bed watching it too, and she was like, this kid is a rip, and he's spot on.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate the kind words. It was a lot of fun to make that one, and it was just like, I was just playing fun with it all, but yeah, it was very fun.
Oh, it's awesome. So real quick, before we dive deep into the topic of conversation, quick little intro on you and how you got into doing what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll just say who I am, because getting into it's a little bit more of a story. So I'm Ben Leavitt. I'm a social media strategist. So I run a social media agency where I help brands and businesses better leverage social. And then where most people know me from is from my YouTube channel, where I share videos to help people do that for themselves.
You nailed that. You nailed the pitch, man.
I've said
That's
it
awesome.
Now I should.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, we talk about in your videos, you're very, very descriptive in what you should be doing on social media to cut through the noise. Specifically, you talk a lot about Instagram. You talk a lot about Clubhouse now because it's the new app, right? That everybody's on. It's the new thing. So before we get into, let's go with one tip first. So what are you seeing online right now that's creating a whole bunch of noise? And let me back up. I'm going all over the place today. Bear with me. I've been going like 9,000 miles an hour since 6 a.m. today. All right. So there's two issues when it comes to breaking through the noise. It's you as the entrepreneur or subject matter expert trying to break through the noise. And then there is all the noise that you're constantly fed on a daily basis that you need to break through in order to get the right advice, the right direction, the right clarity. Okay. So we're going to dive into each category right after this quick message. If you're a business owner who feels your branding isn't truly representing the value that you deliver, check out this free video training that will help you level up your brand's messaging and online presence so that you can start attracting higher quality clients. Visit www.uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/level up my branding. All right, we are back, and I want to encourage all of the live listeners right now to drop some comments. If you have questions, you have anything you want to contribute to today's conversation, please, we encourage it. I don't know the next time I'm going to have a rock star like Ben here, so feel free to drop those questions and comments in the comments, and we'll make sure that we highlight them for sure. So let's go down rabbit hole number one. You're a subject matter expert. There's a lot of people that do what you do, and there's a lot of noise in your space. How do you cut through it?
So I think one of the first things you can do is to be patient. Like a lot of people, they do what everyone else is doing, and then they want it yesterday. And that's just simply not going to happen, especially on these platforms that people want to. When they run to Instagram, Instagram's very, very saturated. It's not what it was 7-8 years ago. You can't just post anything and grow. So if you're looking to grow there, you need to show up very consistently. You need to try to be unique. And sometimes it's the smallest little thing. So if there's thousands of people that are sharing very similar information to you. If you're even able to present it in a slightly different way, maybe it's a little more engaging or slightly more informative or easy to comprehend. It's the smallest little things. And I've grown a lot of theme pages in my day. And for anyone who doesn't know, a theme page is basically like a page around a specific theme, as it would sound. And I've grown some in like for different niches. So I love The Office. It's my favorite TV show. So for a fun YouTube video, I grew an Office theme page. And to speak to these small little differences and how much they matter, there was another page that I was following their growth while we were both growing, and they were growing like 5 to 6 times as fast as me. And the only thing they were doing differently than me was including subtitles in their videos. So like, that's what I mean about the smallest of differences that can separate you from your competition. So I encourage you to go look at everyone, see what they're doing, and seek out an opportunity to make yourself slightly different. It's the slightly better that Instagram's looking for to push you.
Interesting. So it's those subtle tweaks, subtitles, headlines on videos, things like that.
Oh, and I actually can't stress this enough. And now that I've run my agency for a few years and I've had employees come on too, it is definitely a taught skill. It's not just something that you have to actively work towards it. But once you've been in social for a while, you see how, with everyone doing basically the same thing, it's the 0.1% better that makes everything different, because it compounds just like investing. So if you're 0.1% better today, if that's across every piece of content and you're showing up consistently, you're going to be so far ahead in a year or 2 years time.
Do you recommend any particular types of content that will cut through the noise a little bit more? That's
a great question. I think it really comes down to who you are and really knowing what that is. I think a lot of people, you know who the people are that you're trying to seek. So I would try to stick to that. I think a lot of entrepreneurs fall victim of posting what they want to post. And that's great. And that's awesome if this page is for you. But if you're looking to grow an audience, I hate to break it to you, it's not really about you, right? Like at the end of the day, it's really, really not. So you got to think about what brings value to the end user. And that's why I love social media so much, is they don't care about your feelings. The audience cares about what they care about. And if they really resonate with what you say, it's going to travel farther because these platforms can see that and they're going to push it accordingly.
Let's talk about that for a second, because how important is it to dial in the message that you're trying to convey with the ideal audience that you're trying to incubate or curate?
It's so important. The more focused you can be, especially in the beginning, and this is even more true on Instagram, and the same is also true on YouTube, but the easier you make the platform's job to determine who you are and who you're for, the more favors they're going to do for you, the more people they're going to put you in front of, because you're less of a risk. So many people look at these platforms as like they're just like they're enigmas, but they have to understand they're a for-profit business just like you are. So they just make their money in different ways by keeping people on their platform. So if you don't help them do that, why would they help you? You wouldn't help someone that doesn't help your business, right? Like inside the business. So you got to think about it that way and make it very easy for these platforms to help you out. And you can do that from the beginning by being very specific in who you're trying to reach out to with both your content and then the supporting like hashtags and metadata around that.
That was powerful, dude. And it's half of it was like, it's common knowledge for us, of course, but it's not for our audience. And keep that in mind, guys, when you're creating content, what you're creating content for, it may be common knowledge to you, but the people that you're serving, this is brand new stuff for them. So important to remember that, right? Did you want to add something?
No, I was going to say, I love that. And it's so true, because when you approach every piece of content with how is this going to help someone, or what is the purpose of this content, and what is the shift you're trying to make? Because if you can create some sort of emotion there, emotion leads to motion. And if people feel something, they're going to be far more intrigued to either follow you, like it, or share it with other people. All good things for you and your business.
Beautiful stuff. Okay. We get this question a lot on Clubhouse. How much content professional should I be posting? How much content should I be posting personal? Should I split 2 accounts? Should I create 2 accounts and have one for my personal, one for, right? What's your thoughts on that?
So this is I'm probably not going to give the answer you want, but it's so nuanced. It really depends on your specific situation and what you want from this page. If this goal is simply to grow your page, it shouldn't be as much about you. It should be far more about the value that you provide. If this is solely business oriented, and then you use your personal touch in addition to the value you're providing. So whether this be like the humor you have as a human being or sharing more on your stories, connecting with people, because at the end of the day, people do buy from people. But for the platform specifically, if your sole focus is to grow, the more that you focus on value, the more that you're going to grow. And it's a simple thing. If you post a picture of yourself and people are so accustomed to coming to your page for, say, landscaping tips, if it's then a selfie one day, they're going to be like, well, what is this? And naturally, they're not going to perform. It's not going to perform as well. So if your goal is to maximize the reach of every post, the more specific and consistent you can be, the better it is. I don't want people to get like stuck in a box and feel so like mentally or creatively blocked. But that's what you should understand is the purpose of it, that everything's going to happen. And you got to think backwards again from the intentions of these companies and social media platforms as to like what is their goal with every piece of content and for every user. And as long as you're keeping that in mind, it's really up to you. But you got to think about where you want to be and then work backwards from that.
Fantastic advice. Fantastic advice. Let's shift gears. We might come back to this. Yeah. This topic in a second, but let's talk about the noise that gets thrown at us each and every day on social platforms that maybe the person giving it may not be the best qualified person giving it, or there's so much overwhelm of advice. One person says 3 times a day, you got to post. The other one says 19, how do you, Ben, take what works for you and disregard or, get rid of the rest?
Yeah. So again, this is so different for me because I've been in this for a while now. But like I try it through implementation. Like I have enough of an opportunities to experiment with either my accounts or clients' pages, et cetera, where I can actually try something out and then see it firsthand. For anybody else who's looking for external help or support, I would say that I wouldn't follow like every social media strategist. Like, to be honest, like I wouldn't follow all of us because you're going to hear different things. So I'd say pick 1 or 2 that you trust and roll with them until proven that you shouldn't, kind of thing. Because you can listen to content like mine day after day after day after day. But if you're not implementing, what does it matter? Like I have some people that do follow me all the time and they don't even post on social media. It's like, I'm very happy that they're watching my content, but if they're here for the purpose of improving their business, I'm not going to be offended if I'm not the social media strategist for you, because I know that at the end of the day, I want my content to move the needle forward for you. And if it's not going to do that, then pick someone else that it will. So I would say that's really, really important. But then the other piece is true. The first part that I said is so important to try, because it doesn't matter, because this is so situational. Like it matters so much about your specific situation. So I would say seek out someone that you trust and then actually implement. Action is so important, especially because a lot of the advice that I even share, it's so timely. Like if you don't do it now, a month from now, it may not be relevant or it may not be as impactful as it could have. So don't think so much. I think find 1 or 2 resources that you really, really trust and roll with what they say.
Okay. So when you're digging into those resources, and what are you looking for? What kind of credibility, what kind of authority are you looking for you to deem that strategist to be a trusted source?
Yeah. So again, I'm very fortunate where I have like very strong BS detector, especially when it comes to social media specifically. And I run into a lot of people on Clubhouse that like really should not be giving social media advice, like they haven't done it. So I think it's really important to try, like, I know it's easier said than done, but you really got to go do your vetting and see what other people are saying, like how they've performed for whatever, if they have use cases, if they have things like that. Where I source my information is usually either directly from the source. So like I'm always following the data studies from YouTube, Instagram, like directly from the source, and their blog articles too. So nothing from them is going to be inaccurate because it's direct from the source. And then in addition to that, there's a few other publications that I really trust just because they have a proven track record of being right and being on the ball very quickly. But it's very much a feeling out thing. Like you'll come across some information where they're promising you the world. And I think that's another big thing too. It's a pretty red flag if they're saying that your page is going to blow up overnight. That's likely untrue, because if that was the case, why would we not all be doing that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I'm looking for practitioners. Like I'm looking for what people are actually doing. That's actually how I get my strategy is I look at what Ben's doing. I look at what Farouk's doing. I look at what, Gary V's doing, which I gotta say, like, I feel like he did not jump on the Clubhouse bandwagon as much as I thought he would, unless I'm just missing him in every room. But he seems to be very dialed in and very focused in on doing his video streams with, I think every Thursday he does a cool like board, he's got some really cool guests and things like that. So I would love to just ask him, like, what's your take on Clubhouse, and is this another Periscope? Is this another, right? But how, all right. So breaking through the noise, staying on topic, like, where was I going with this? I had a thought and it jumped me. Man, this is a terrible episode tonight. I'm so out of it.
Just to speak on the Clubhouse piece there. He spent a decent amount of time in there, but in very specific rooms. Like, he has almost 1 million followers at this point on Clubhouse. And obviously that has a lot to do with him being him, but he's been spending a lot of time in like NFT and trading card rooms primarily.
Okay, then I have zero interest in that, and that's probably why he's not showing up. Yeah. Richard Bliss Brook is in the house live with us, and he says, "Hey, Henry and Ben, feel free, Rich, if you have any questions for Ben. Ben is quite the social media expert when it comes to, growing and monetizing and really establishing yourself as a subject matter expert on social media. And like I said earlier, he did a really funny YouTube video the other day that just caught my eye, and I bumped into him in a couple of rooms in Clubhouse that he was giving out some really great information. And, I've been following him for a while, so I finally had an opportunity to step up and talk to him. And that's how we're here today. So the power of Clubhouse, the power of community, the power of access, right? Very, very important. Standing out in social media, in my opinion, is something that you need to be, very specific with. I think you need to find the platform that you feel most comfortable on. So Ben and I are really comfortable in front of the camera. So we're going to pick channels that are going to leverage that, right? And then our content is going to be that much greater because we're so comfortable on it. Very, very important, right? So I'm not a strong writer. So you're not going to see me writing blog posts all day.
Yeah. No, I think it's very important to create that home court advantage for yourself. And I always get asked, like, what platform should I be on? And it's what platform makes the most sense for you. I would way rather people pick like 1 or 2 platforms and dominate there, do it right, and then expand, because you're doing so well there that you now have an influx of cash and opportunity that you can now expand the brand. But I think if you can do 5 things wrong and not move the needle at all. Whereas if you focused on one thing and did it right, it could do crazy things for your business.
Powerful stuff. Rich has a really great question. He says, what is your favorite platform, Ben? And what do you see as the future of it?
Great question, Richard. So I'd say YouTube's near and dear to my heart just because I've seen how game-changing it really can be. And I was obsessed with creating passive systems for myself that can work beyond my capabilities or the time that I have in a day. And YouTube is that to a T. YouTube, I always say this, is a salesperson that you don't have to pay, and they work 24/7. So like that's been the biggest thing for me. I've never had to have a salesperson for my agency. I make passive income while I sleep because of YouTube and the content lifespan that's there. So I think they're going to continue to dominate. I'm very intrigued by shorts over there. So if anyone's who's unaware, YouTube Shorts is their answer to TikTok. So they're bringing in short form vertical video over there as well. And I'm wildly excited to see what that creates for the platform.
I haven't tapped into YouTube Shorts yet. I'm seeing the most results on Clubhouse right now as far as growing and building my community. So that's my primary focus, but I'm curious to see what Shorts does. I've heard about it. I've heard a lot of people talking about it over the past couple of weeks. So I can't wait to see how you use it to get some ideas.
If you have some verticals ready to go, like vertical videos, I would get them up there now because the full beta release is about to happen in about a month or so. And every YouTube insider that I've been speaking to, they're like, the floodgates are going to open and the opportunity will probably be lost once they do. So if you have some sitting around, at the very least, I'd get them up there and give yourself some skin in the game.
Is there like a time frame? Like, is it a 60-second video? Like, how long does the video last?
Yeah, so it's really weird right now because it hasn't had the full-fledged beta release. It originally launched in India because they don't have TikTok over there. So they gave them shorts because it was like the best place to really see how everything worked because it was a massive market and they really wanted this kind of content. So right now it's a very wonky process of how you upload a short. You do so the same way you would any other video on YouTube, but it has to be a vertical video, less than 60 seconds, and you need to include hashtag shorts in either the title or the description. Most people, or a lot of people, are just doing both.
Very cool. Interesting. There's a little bonus tip for you when it comes to YouTube shorts.
Word. Chris
Bella's in the house. What's going on? Awesome dude. Awesome podcast. Ben, you should go on Chris's podcast.
I just was on it. Hey, Chris is an awesome guy.
Yeah. Great dude. Oh, this is a great question. You know, I was going to ask you this question too. Who do you follow on social? Top 3 and why?
Richard, you're bringing the heat today. That's a great question. So if I had to pick top 3, I'll give the cliche one first. I'd say Gary Vee's up there. But honestly, I follow him like just to keep my finger on the pulse of like trends. Well, there's a lot of things that he says that I don't agree with. So like, I'm not like a Gary Vee fanboy. I do love the guy. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not one of those people who's going to be like, oh, he knows everything, because there's a lot of things where I'm like, that's not practical. Like, that's just so unrealistic. But I love Gary Vee. He's probably number 1. Number 2, geez, I think it's very specific. Like, I have people that I'll follow for specific platforms. Like, I love Sean Cannell for YouTube. So he runs Think Media. He's built a massive business over there for that. And then the top 3, that's a good question. Honestly, I don't spend that much time consuming on social media. I think Pat McAfee's actually somebody that I follow on YouTube quite a bit because I'm a big sports fan. So I'd throw him in there for 3 because I think he combines so many different things into one show.
Yeah. To that point, Ben, I would encourage you guys to follow folks on social that have nothing to do with your industry, business, or anything. My wife has put me onto a couple of podcasts that have nothing to do with business, right? There's actors and actresses that started podcasts, and they have really cool themes, and they have really cool frameworks to the show. And nobody's doing that in our world, Ben. Mm-hmm. So I encourage you guys to go outside of your industry and listen or watch videos, because you may pick up some ideas and concepts and frameworks that you could plug in that will completely spotlight you in your world, because nobody's doing it.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. And the term that I use to describe like what that practice is I call it social listening. And once you're in your bubble of your niche, it's very easy to get tunnel vision and just keep moving forward. Whereas if you step back a bit and open it up, you can learn from everybody. And there may be a trend happening in a totally different niche that you could apply in a creative way. And that may be the very thing that allows you to stand out. Yeah.
I hate to use the word. I'm not going to use it. PB. I'm not going to use it. Piggyback. I'm not going to use it. But to amplify that's another one that's getting played out too over there. But to what Ben just said, one of the things that we're doing is I have an agency that represents me and gets me on big podcasts. And I specifically told them, I want to go on shows that are a little bit more obscure to funnels and branding and things like that, because everybody's talking about that in our industry. True. So one of the strategies that we're doing is there's a lot of real estate investors out there that want to really pour into their personal brand, because a lot of times the people buy them first, and then, that's when the business gets made. So I've been going on quite a few real estate podcasts, real estate investing podcasts, and nobody's talking about funnels over there. So now you watch, everybody's going to go over there and start, getting on all these real estate podcasts you watch, but I'll always be 3 exits ahead of you. So I'm not worried about it, but I'm telling you this because I want you to look at other verticals that your ideal clients have interest in, and go on those shows, because you will be the sore thumb and you will be the expert that stands out from in that entire arena, right? Like a lot of my ideal clients, they like stuff, they like boats, they like to fly, they like to travel. Why would I not go on a traveling podcast and talk about business and funnels and just to bring in that spin on things, right? And be seen as the subject matter expert in that space. Great way to stand out from all the noise.
So for somebody listening to this who obviously like they may not have an agency to help them do this, like how would you recommend them finding these opportunities?
It's a great question. One is get out there and really study who your ideal client is and understand their affinities. What brands do they love? That could open up Pandora's box right there. Yeah. Right?
Yeah,
and,
sure.
and then you go on and then you just do a search on Spotify. You do a search on iTunes, and Pandora now has podcasting. So you start to search out these subjects, these interests. And then Ben, it's just putting the hammer down and getting out there and saying, hey, I would love to be on your show. Or if you have a podcast, I'd love to be on your show. I mean, that's the best. If you could provide value somehow up front for them, you could almost guarantee that they're going to reciprocate.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's very much a give and take thing. And that's why it always works so well.
Yeah. I think, and also if you do have the capital to invest in an agency to represent you, I always think that that's the better way to go, because it's leverage, it's posturing, it's positioning. It's much rather have an agent reach out and say, I would love to have my client be on your show. It just has a different vibe to it, right? It has a different, and especially if you're a subject matter expert, again, perception, where it is what it is. I'm just saying it. But if you could be postured and positioned that way from an agency, you're most likely, you got a better shot of going on bigger shows and getting bigger exposure. So, that's a great way to really stand out is finding verticals that your clients have interest in, and then become the subject matter expert in that world. So, Ben, I got some fun questions for you.
Let's do it.
Real quick before we go, Ben. Rich has one more question. How do you monetize, Ben? How do you make your money?
Yeah, so I've actually just had this conversation with my mom the other day. She's like, Ben, how do you make money? And I was like, well, let me show you. So there's a lot of different channels that I like. Accounting is kind of a pain for me because it's like all over the place. Like I have a ton of different income streams, which I'm lucky to do so. So the YouTube channel is a big one from AdSense. And then I have a ton of affiliate marketing from that. And then we also do brand deals that are attached to that. And then the YouTube channel also acts as a funnel for my agency. So then I have my agency clients that come in from there. And those are like the big four. But within that, there's so many different silos of like different programs and things of that nature. So I'd say basically through social media services and then traffic generated from my channel to either buy products that we offer or products that are already established for other companies.
Love it. There you go, Rich. In a nutshell. All right. So here's some fun questions for you, Ben. We're gonna sort of wind down a little bit and talk some fun stuff. All right. Yeah. So question number 1 is, what's something that people think makes them look cool, but actually makes them look ridiculous?
I think it's the flexing your nice car kind of stuff, like all of that stuff. I just think that's so far removed from what people care about. And I guess it all depends on who you're trying to attract. Like for me, I don't think I want the people to follow me that would look up to like a fancy car or flexing is the word that I always use, because they're probably not going to have what it takes to actually like make a shift or put in the effort. So I think it depends on who you're trying to attract, but I think the whole flashing era, I'm not a fan of it.
Fantastic. I'm with you too. And I say that with all honesty because that was me years ago. I always
everyone was doing it.
Right. It was like I don't want to say rite of passage, but it was like Yeah, everybody was doing it. So I guess that's the way to do it. I guess I need to post my QuickBooks deposits so everybody knows that I'm making money.
That was a wave for a while. And so many people were doing that. And a lot of people still are.
I know. And I'm like, I don't know if that's going to move the needle for me.
I just don't think there's longevity there. I think it does make sense for certain people, but the majority of the people that it makes sense for, it's because like their lifestyle is what allows their business to be sustained, because people think that if they buy the products, they too get that lifestyle. So it definitely is a very intricate thing, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the flexing nation.
Which they will be wildly surprised.
Yes.
And try to go down that route.
100%.
Just saying. All right. Another quick fun question. What is your most unusual talent?
I'm pretty good at impressions. That's probably, I got a few good characters that I can do. Like I can do a mean Elmo. I can do a really good Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, and I can do a decent Mickey Mouse. And I've got a few other ones here and there, but I've always been decent at impressions. My dad was really good at them, and he just kind of would do them around when I was a kid. And then I just kind of picked up on them too.
All right. Elmo.
Okay. I'm a little parched here. Let me hydrate.
You know I was going to ask you.
I set myself up for that one. It's probably going to be awful now because we're live. But
no, I love it. I love it.
Tickle me, Elmo. Elmo likes to be tickled.
Oh my God, dude. That was amazing. You know who I got to set you up with? He was on the show a couple of weeks ago. Matt Friend. Do you know who he is?
No, the name doesn't ring a bell.
Oh my God. Follow him on Instagram. You will piss your pants. His name is Matterday Night Live.
Nice.
And he came in my clubhouse room yesterday and did 7 or 8 impressions. We did like an intermission and we had him come in. Nice. And holy shit. He did Stern. He did Trump. He did Barack Obama. He did Sebastian Maniscalco.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He had us crying. You two, you should do a podcast with him or a YouTube live. You, Elmo, him, Howard Stern.
And have a conversation.
And just have a full-blown conversation. You guys would rip. Dude, that was awesome. That was awesome. Okay, last question. What's something weird that you recommend everyone try at least once?
Wow. That's a tough one. Something weird that I recommend. So I think it's like, I don't think I would want you to do this more than once, but I think doing it once can change everything. So like for whenever I was shy or like nervous about things, I enacted what I called the 3-second rule, where if I felt the butterflies in my stomach because I knew I wanted to do something, but I was scared to do it, I would just count to 3 and then I had to do whatever it was. So say if I was in like a class and I was like, I knew the answer, but I was afraid to put my hand up, I would literally just be like 1, 2, 3 up. So I think like doing that so much where now I don't have to count to 3, I just do. I think the 3-second rule is I think that I wish everyone would start, because I think a lot of people, they spend too much time thinking and the moments get lost. We have such a little amount of time here where we want to try to maximize those things. And the only thing that scares me is having regret at this point. So that's why I always try to move quickly.
Dude, that you and I both, that's one of the things that keeps me going every single day is that fear of regret. Like we're all going to be 90 years old, God willing, one day. And how do we look back on our life and say, we did it. We did it the way we wanted to do it.
100%. No, I couldn't agree more. I think that it's good to think about that as early as possible, so then you can live your life accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Last question. What is Ben up to? What is he focused on for the next, let's say, 90 days? What are you trying to accomplish in the next 90 days? What's your core focus?
It's a great question. So a primary focus of mine is building out some educational products, because I've been doing a lot of consulting over the past 2 years and it's just not scalable. And I'd love to be able to provide a lot more than I can in one consulting call for around the same price point as what I would charge for a consulting call. So I'm trying to build a course out for a few different platforms. And then the other main focus in our agency is we just brought on a few big clients that are going to be a lot more work now. But if we can bring them good results, it could be pretty game changing for our agency. So focusing on developing some of the best courses out there for the platforms that we love, and then helping our clients or what we would call more our partners now at this point, to really grow and build a brand that we believe in.
Dude, that's awesome. And I wish you nothing but luck. And I know you're going to crush it because you come across as a real genuine dude that just loves what he freaking does. And I admire that. I admire that so much. And, it doesn't come easy, you know, for some, and we're blessed to be able to do something that we truly, truly love and that we are good at. And so I want to recognize you for that. And, I love you for that because it's a tough thing to do for a lot of folks and it comes very naturally to us. So what can we do with that to help them? And you're doing an amazing thing.
Appreciate that. And likewise, same for you. I know that the conversations that we had, I could instantly feel your energy and I love that. That always motivates me big time to stay connected with people like that.
I love it. So where can people go to learn more about you and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thank you so much for having me on here. I had a blast. I always love chopping it up. Best places to access me is if you have a question that you want to ask me directly, Instagram DMs is probably the best. I try to get back to every single one, and I've been pretty good about that. I'd say I have about a 95 to 96% success rate. If you're looking to learn, YouTube's the best place to go. Just first name, last name, Ben Leavitt, spelled Leavitt. And if you're a fan of podcasts, my podcast is Social Media University, really just an extension of basically what we covered today and what I cover on my YouTube channel. I want to help you grow on social and take what you're doing and take it to the next level.
Awesome stuff. Well, there you have it, guys. Another podcast in the books. I told you were going to love Ben. He's such a genuine dude. Really knows his stuff. I highly recommend you follow him. And if you need some of this stuff, as far as social media content strategy and growth strategy, I highly recommend him. I've followed him for months and I think he's an amazing individual, both professionally and personally. And, I highly recommend you go check him out. So, with that said, guys, Ben, don't stick around. I've had a lot of guests, just like when I end the call, they fly out and I'm like, we got to have a little back, behind the scenes conversation. We got to have some off stage conversation before we wrap up. So stick around. Guys, I hope you had an amazing, watch or listen today. And I highly recommend that you execute one of the many things that we talked about today and give it a whirl, give it a shot, give it 30 days, give it 45 days to marinate, give it some time to grow. There was a lot of stuff that was said here today that could exponentially have you standing out and cutting through all the noise on social media. So take action and make sure that you let me know your results, especially if they're positive. And if you're having some struggles, make sure you reach out. We're here to help. That's why we show up every single day, because we want to help you grow a brand that truly represents the value that you deliver. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you write a review on iTunes or Spotify. I want to know, good or bad, how am I doing? How could I be better? Is there any topics of conversation you want us to address in deeper detail? Let us know. I'm here to serve. Love you guys. Have an amazing day. We'll catch you on the next one soon. Take care. Hey everyone, this is Henry Kaminsky Jr. again. And really quick, I want to invite you to a one-on-one consult with me right now if you're looking for the clarity and focus you need to build your brand. Over the past 13 years, I've served hundreds of entrepreneurs that have great products but struggled tremendously with articulating its value to their ideal customers. You didn't get into business to just change a few lives, did you? Your ideal clients need you. And when your brand has precision-crafted messaging coupled with beautifully thoughtful design that sounds, looks, and feels like you, they'll know you're the perfect match for them. If this is something you're struggling with, what I want you to do right now is pause this audio and go visit www.uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net, and book your one-on-one consult call with me. Remember, the quality of your brand will determine the quality of your clients, and the quality of your clients will determine the quality of your life.